Are you listening? Damn.
Hello, sports fans. As we said, we have big heavyweights in the world of marketing joining us in the Business of Influence podcast this afternoon. And one such lady is here. She is the CMO over at the Spur Group, Ms. Vuyo Henda. How are you?
I am so delighted to be here.
Oh,
Thank
we're
you.
so happy to have you. You've got the spirit of what we need in the business of podcast. Like, we're all here centered and ready to get some like really deep gems of knowledge. So thank you for your time this morning.
It's my pleasure.
So let's chat about this world of marketing, right? You cut your teeth at Unilever, so you're very, very aware of what the marketing world does as far as products are concerned.
Yes.
Where do you see this industry going? I mean, we've really had a huge explosion of like many platforms,
Yes.
many opportunities to market. And you having the experience that you have, where do you see it going from where it is now in the next sort of 5 or 10 years?
Well, I think it's important to note that I definitely don't have a crystal ball.
Yeah.
If I did, I think my life would be very different.
Please, would come to you for some consultations.
But I think in terms of what I'm seeing emerge, I think brands are really starting to leverage partnerships in
Yeah.
ways that when I joined my career were not really as common. So brands are starting to identify commonalities, shared values, and they're starting to come together or join forces to add value to their customers and audiences. And I think it's pretty exciting because in this era, the collaboration can actually create new avenues of growth. And actually challenge industries as a whole in ways that maybe didn't happen before because you just looked at your own industry or your own lane, or you regarded everyone as competition.
I love the word you use, collaboration, right? Because it seems to me that in a people-centric industry like ours, and in a particular in the business and organization that you're in, you're constantly having to sort of touch base with the people on the ground because they are your customers. Are you finding that they are more receptive to the C word, to the collaboration between brands, between you and other influencers, other collaborating partners in the business?
I think so. I think people are always happy to be at the receiving end of value. And if that collaboration leads to an outcome that's going to benefit them or make their lives easier or make them access something that they really need, people are very receptive to that. The key, though, is making sure that your collaborators or your co-creators are aligned in terms of the vision of what you're crafting together, and that the values are, in alignment as well, because that's where things can come across as inauthentic.
Yeah. And authenticity is such a big thing, especially when you're talking to people and asking them to reach into their pockets and share with you.
Yes.
I'm interested in the platforms that we're now using to have these conversations with the people, I think the Spur Group in particular is in a very sweet spot because you're speaking to both young and old. You're speaking to the traditional family, Sunday afternoon, to the dinners, to, with the other partners. And those platforms for me are so interesting because then how do you make sure you keep the core groups that you speak to and then also open up for the new market, the new younger customers who are going to be coming into the Spur family?
It's an important question because this brand or the Spur Corp brands began in 1967.
Yeah, we're 60 plus years old.
It's been a long time. And in order to ensure that the brands have sustainability and longevity, it's been about making sure that we reinvent at the key touch points of the customer journey. Of course, for us in the restaurant game, it's always going to revolve around that restaurant experience. The tech platforms have actually made the experience even more important because now everyone has a voice. Everyone can express their joy and delight with what they've encountered from your brand, and they can also equally express their dissatisfaction. So for us, it's been a big focus to make sure that we are thinking about the changing needs of customers and intentionally being uncomfortable or creating our own disruption to evolve the brands and the experiences in ways that are keeping pace or in fact leading what we think the customers are expecting from us.
Because it's so dynamic, right? It happens at a turn of a hat. I mean, I learned an interesting phrase about social listening.
Yes.
About being able to chat to your customers as and when things happen in the world.
Yes.
And I'm interested to find out, especially in your position as a CMO at the Spur Group, how much of that social listening has had to come in to make sure that you are hearing the people on the ground, but also keeping current with what they're speaking about, right? Because restaurants are places where we meet,
Yes.
we chat, and we share things, and it is an integral part of our family life.
It's essential. I don't think you can be effective as a marketer if you don't practice good listening. And that's something that I've learned in my career, is that curiosity, that interest in what other people are experiencing and how they perceive things around them is the difference between average and great marketing. So for us, sitting in the restaurants, observing what our customers are doing, saying, is a big part of what we do. Just last week, me and my fellow executives were actually doing a waiter shift at one of our Spur restaurants.
Wow, imagine that. The
That
CMO
was-
saving you your flute.
It was amazing. I was nervous about it because honestly, the people who are at the front line are sometimes unsung heroes in terms of the complexity of what they have to do, the energy that they have to bring every time that they engage with a customer. And I was so energized by it to be part of singing. Look, I sang 5 happy birthday songs.
That's why you go to Spur, though, because
But
you want the happy birthday.
I felt like I'd just come off of a concert. I was a bit like high after the shift because of how much energy was in the restaurant. And just understanding the impact of receiving someone, what they're saying to you when they complain about something that they received. That kind of listening is actually what inspires, I feel, great work and inspires me as a marketer, a marketing professional. So it's essential. Listening, but listening online, but also translating that into listening to where you're, in terms of the places your customers are congregating is key.
You know, early on in our conversation, you spoke about how tech has become quite a big part of the business. And I think, you know, it'd be silly for you not to delve into that space.
Yeah.
I'm interested in, you know, we as Style ID Africa in the Business of Influence podcast, a very big part of our conversation is how we use influencers and influencer marketing as the new frontier of marketing and as an annexure, but also a core part of the marketing matrix.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm interested in your views about that because, you know, it's the buzzword, but, you know, we've been doing this for a while and we found that the buzzword is no longer not buzzing. So, you know, when does it stop being a buzzword and a trend and become part of a core of the marketing matrix? And how are you seeing it work in your organization?
Well, for those that think it's a little side addition to what we do, newsflash, I think it is actually part of the core of our discipline and how we reach customers. I think for me, it's been a big thing for us to partner with people we believe have the authentic voice and have the credibility with their audiences, but can also partner with us as a business with multiple brands. And it's been great to see how the influencer marketing space has evolved. But I think with all the influencers that exist now, the danger is in scripting them, in restricting them, and not regarding that partnership as a co-creation. Where we have expertise on our brands, but they have expertise on their audiences. They understand the tone to use, the topics to engage on. So it's a delicate balance between ensuring that your brand is partnered with the right person, but making sure that that person is bringing their genius into that relationship so that that experience is authentic.
And I think the authenticity is so important because once you lose it in a moment, you can't get it back as easy, right? I mean, Style ID, for instance, what we do is we then make that transition work, right? We say, okay, we'll find the voices that will speak on behalf of the client and have that synergy happen. And For me, it's so interesting because, again, the Spur Group is a big corporation that has so many ages. You know, I can see the Opa and the Oma going for their float in the afternoon on a Sunday. You know, I can see the kids, as you say, you know, their birthdays are happening there in the Spur Group. But, you know, some of us want to have a little wine and pizza in the evening somewhere. So for me, even those influencers will then also have to understand that space so very well, and how you choose it. I'm so inspired really by the inclusion of the Spur Group, and I'm interested to find out what's the next then frontier to make sure that we keep the 67 odd years going into the future.
Wow, I think it's a big question. For me, it's going to revolve around crafting experiences that people can't live without.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate to work for a stable of brands that are loved and have so much goodwill from customers in South Africa and across the continent. And it's really not lost on me the responsibility we have to make sure that future generations get to benefit from that. So we want to make sure that we're really thinking about how to make our environments engaging, how to make the food delectable, and also how to really support communities that our businesses operate in, and to, you know, partner with people who have a vision of how, you know, customers want to be seen and heard, and working with them to really create something magical. So I'm not quite sure what the future is going to hold, but I hope that we can shape the future with this intention.
And I think as part of the fabric in South Africa, you're definitely going to have a very, very long future with us. Thank you so much, Vuyo, for
Leroy,
coming through.
thank you.
It's been an absolutely insightful conversation. And of course, many, many of these happening this afternoon, man. So just keep it locked right here on the Business of Influence podcast.
Amazing.